You take that one, my friend. Lovely to see you. Let me turn Richard Bedbrook on and let me make sure that we can hear everybody. Tash Farrant, good afternoon to you.
Afternoon.
Lovely to see you. And Richard Bedbrook, good afternoon to you, sir.
Afternoon, Churchy. How you doing?
Very well, thank you. So, Regional Director is alongside us, and we're going to talk all things South East Stars. But how good is it to be back here? That's going to be my first question to you, because it's been a funny old time, hasn't it? Tash, I'll start with you, because obviously you've been away playing cricket with England as well, and we'll talk about that. But how nice is it to sort of be back here? And I know you had a game at the weekend as well, didn't you? So back with the South East Stars and playing again.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. I think obviously the season's really getting underway now, and it's just great to see obviously some cricket here today, and obviously we've had some county games, and just really looking forward to getting out on the park with the Stars girls, because we've wintered really well and everyone's ready to get out in the park now. Regional
Director, can I take you back to sort of this time last year, just so everyone can get a picture, because obviously South East Stars, all new, all the new regions, and then COVID hit. And actually, I think what you guys managed to do last year was a miracle, really, because you've got a whole new thing in front of you, but actually getting in touch with people and getting in touch with players and training was impossible. What was it like, sort of having something completely new, but you're in the middle of a lockdown and a pandemic?
That's right. I was just looking at my watch there, trying to work out what month we're in. 12 months ago. 12 months ago, I was sat at home most days. The South East Stars was me. And for certainly, obviously, those couple of months from when I started in the role in March, was this unknown of, well, as we all were, was any cricket going to take place at all? Was it just going to be the international stuff, and then everything else would be left behind? And then, yeah, just thankfully we sort of collectively, amongst the regional directors and the ECB, were like, right, we are going to push the button, we're going to give this a crack, and things worked out well from there, because it was just great to get some games of cricket. Obviously, it was only a sort of curtailed season of, was it 6 games I think we played, wasn't it, in just the format we had last year. And I mean, look, with how the winter's gone, and even with all the COVID restrictions, the girls and the players within the South East Stars group have done a huge amount collectively, and looking forward to a full season of both formats of the game as well this year.
How difficult was that? We've spoken about it before, but how difficult was it? And not to keep your enthusiasm up, but it's like with anything, isn't it? You've got this new thing in front of you, and you just want to crack on and get on with it. And you've got all your ideas, you've got your players you want to get in and get training. You've got players you've got to select as well. So how tough was it?
Well, it gave me a few more months to design the kit, Churchy.
So you did a very good job.
Thanks,
you did a very good job.
And in part, in a strange way, COVID's given some opportunities we didn't think, so it actually gave us a little bit more time to really think about what we were trying to set up, how to go about that. You reflect back on last season, and we actually managed to get county cricket played before the regional stuff, and that again was a great step, and allowed a bit of time for players to sort of show what they could do. We obviously picked a group last year from that, and again, similarly, COVID this winter's given us some opportunities. There's a number of players in our squad who've trained almost as much as the full-time players have, because either they've been furloughed in their job, or they're students and they've not had to go into university. So there's been opportunities created by it, and potentially we're now at a time where we also gave us some time to work out which staff we should get in, and when the timeline of that should happen. And in the end, we ended up bringing sort of the more prominent roles, the head coach and the physio and the S&C, after last summer. We sort of created a bit of a pop-up team to get through, and that's paid dividends, because we've got some really great people involved now, and the players and Tash are making the use of them and benefiting. So
we'll talk about Mr. Myberg in a moment. Tash, can I ask you, look, how important is the South East Stars to you? Because your career, you're back now where you want to be. You're back playing for England, but it's fair to say, obviously, you had a patch there where it changed for you. And with the regional development and with the regional cricket and the South East Stars and the other side, it has set up a massive opportunity, hasn't it? And I think for you as well, I think you're a shining example of that. But how important has it been for you? Even though obviously it was curtailed last summer, but you still managed to get some quality cricket under your belt.
Yeah, definitely. I had obviously been out of an England programme for a year and a half when Bedders called me and spoke to me and was saying that he wanted to sign me, and that was huge for me. It kind of came out of the blue. We knew that the regional stuff was sort of in the pipeline, but didn't know when it was going to happen. So for me, the South East Stars and just the regional setup is absolutely massive. I think it's going to make the biggest difference in the next 5-10 years. And I think me being picked for England for the New Zealand tour just really showed that it's being taken seriously, this regional setup. And if you do perform, and obviously we only had 6 games last year, and luckily enough I did perform. I was happy with how I performed. It shows to the regional girls, if you're playing well, then you're in with a chance, whether you've been in an England setup or not. You're putting your foot in the door to being picked for the England side. But also not just that, obviously people aspire to play for England, but you can also be a professional cricketer now without playing for England, which is great. I've spoken to a lot of people. I obviously want to play for England, but I'm very happy playing for the South East Stars, being a professional setup. I can't really put into words how much it means to me, obviously being captain as well. I feel like we've really bought in to the sort of team philosophy this winter, and that's why everyone's so excited to get back out there, sort of building from last summer, but also more so the winter and the hard work that the girls and the staff have put in.
Don't embarrass her too much. Okay, but that's a big decision, isn't it? It's a big decision to pick up that phone and make that phone call, and captain as well. Why did you want to get Tash? I know it's a diff, but it's an important point as well, because you've got the right person, obviously. But why the phone call? I mean,
it's fairly straightforward decision back then, which was in part you look at the region, and therefore you're trying to work through the players that are from Kent and from Surrey, and we obviously worked together when I did bits with England women, knew what she could do, had known in the period of time that we've maybe not sort of been together of what had gone on, and how I think this was an opportunity to present back to Tash some way of getting back into the England setup, and that was a big part of our initial discussions, wasn't it? About just, was that still an ambition? How does that fit? And look, that Super League was every time we played the Southern Vipers, Tash was normally the one that would provide us the biggest challenge. A quality player. I think what is unknown is how players will react to this and how they react to different positions, and captaincy's sort of a relatively new thing for you, and certainly in this setup as well. And it's been terrific to watch how Tash has grown into that, and has provided a huge amount of leadership for the players and the staff through the winter so far.
Yeah, how much are you enjoying the captaincy role? Because I did a few of your games last year, and you look like you were absolutely leading by example, I think it's fair to say. But it's not just on the pitch, is it? There's a lot away from the cricket as well. So how much are you enjoying that role?
Yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. It's definitely a new challenge for me, and I'm 100% not the finished article. But yeah, I think it's that extra responsibility which I think that I thrive on. I think for me, I obviously want to play well first and foremost, and sort of lead from the front from a cricket perspective, but also off the pitch. I've always prided myself on working really hard and just enjoying what I do. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I think the winter's sort of a really nice time, because that's when I feel this winter I've sort of got to know the girls more that I necessarily didn't know that well last summer, which obviously will come with time, and it's a natural process. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and looking forward to getting out there with the girls. Yeah,
we'll have a look at last summer in a sec, but again, another important point there is, and I know, speaking with Vikram Solanki about this, that actually getting a pre-season in and getting time together before going into your season is so important, isn't it? Because you didn't get that you got a bit of time, but it wasn't a huge amount, was it, before you went into your game? So to actually be doing it the right way, I suppose, is great for this summer.
Yeah, I'm trying to think how many training sessions we did actually have as a squad last summer. I don't think it was any more than 2 or 3, was it? And one of the benefits, I suppose, of us being Kent and Surrey is we're sort of two tightly knit groups from each county. But one of the best things to see this window is actually how well that's crossed over between the 2 squads, isn't it? There's obviously a little bit of rivalry, as there has been the last couple of weekends with the Kent-Surrey county stuff. But within our Stars training sessions, it's you just wouldn't know that there's a sort of county divide at all. It's been great to see, and that's partly the people that are in there, the leaders of the group like Tash and the other full-time players, and how well they've sort of gelled and then mixed in with others, and just the squad as a whole. We've got some great people involved.
You mentioned the county stuff there. How important is that as well? Because it's giving you some cricket, isn't it? And I think we spoke about this last year, didn't we? We spoke about the fact that how important the county stuff is, how important the South East Stars and sort of regions are, and how we don't want this. There is a real momentum at the moment with women's cricket, and you don't want it disappearing, do you? You want it front and centre. And last year, with the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy, I thought it was fantastic, absolutely magnificent competition, brilliant games of cricket, fantastic players involved, but also with the county game as well, that got coverage, and I think it's absolutely crucial, isn't it, Tash, that coverage continues, not just South East Stars, but Kent women, Surrey women, and all the county cricket that's being played as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously, having played for Kent since I was 14 and Surrey as well, they're sort of two of the sort of biggest counties that have done really well sort of in the last 10-15 years. So for me it's really important to keep county going, and from looking at it in a Stars perspective, it's a really good way for girls to get more time on the pitch under their belt, because I think that's where sort of what we've been missing is having a really jam-packed full summer like the men have, from April to the end of September, which we've got this season, sort of the first year. So those county games, I mean, the last 2 weekends that I played in have been like an epic standard. Sort of from a Kent point of view, obviously we scored 190 last weekend, and then Surrey sort of came back at us and posted 160. So yeah, those county games are just sort of adding to that pre-season, so that from a Stars perspective, we're ready for when that first game comes on the 29th of May. Yeah,
and Mr. Bedbrook, it's that professional word again, isn't it? It's that profession, and this is so important now. It's being well, you are professionals, treated like professionals and training like professionals, and it's a full-time job, which is what always the aim was. Not just England players, but county players and regional players as well. Yeah,
it is a big step, and touch on a point there. Probably women's, one of the aspects of women's cricket before was it was very much a training environment with a few games, and I think to continue the drive forwards in both standards on the pitch but also standards off the pitch, there needs to be more cricket. And county stuff, and the county game and the county competition that the ECB run, and obviously the London Championship that both Kent and Surrey are part of, that adds to the fixture list of the season. Now, maybe the full-time players and the regional setups won't necessarily play in every game of that, but it does allow them the right times and the right places to play. We can utilise that for extra cricket if players are coming back from injury, a great way of integrating them back into playing, but also for still the younger players coming through county pathways, to have a divide between that county pathway and regional stuff. It's a big jump again, and we just keep creating these sort of big segments within the pathway. So to keep women's county cricket going, I think it's really important to keep that pathway fluid and allow younger players to sort of see what the professionals and the international players can do.
Yeah, absolutely. So last summer, obviously, miracle happened. Everybody worked incredibly hard to get the competition on. And as I say, I covered most of your games, I think, last summer. Absolutely loved it. How did you enjoy it, Tash? Sort of that because it was sort of at the back end of the summer, wasn't it? I can remember the weather was lovely, but we were all just delighted that there was cricket again. But it was very competitive, very high standard, and terrific. So sort of your overall sort of assessment of the competition as a whole, really.
Yeah, I think obviously we were just all really happy to get out there and be playing cricket, because sort of May time we didn't really think that was going to happen. So first and foremost, it was just great to be out there. And yeah, it was really competitive. We didn't do necessarily obviously how we wanted to do, but I think it was just a really good sort of start for the South East Stars. I think obviously being a very new team, whereas maybe some other teams a bit more established, sort of having the teams in the Super League, etc.
Yep.
But yeah, I think the competition was really good last summer, but I think it's going to be even better this summer, because sort of the 40 professional contracted players, but also the wider squads throughout the country have been having proper training all winter, which necessarily wasn't there before. So I just think the jump in standards is going to be a whole nother level this summer. I know from our squad, everyone's performing really well. Everyone's worked hard, not just from a cricket point of view, but having the physio, the S&C, sort of from a fitness point of view. So I think the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy, along with the T20s, which I think is really important. Obviously, that's the two formats that are played at the international level. So yeah, I just think the competition this year is just going to build on last summer.
Regional director, what was your sort of when you got to the end of it last summer? What obviously results probably weren't what you were looking for, but actually at the end of the day, I know you want to be winning every game you play, but with what happened last summer anyway, as Tash said, it sort of put that building block in place for what's to come this summer, hasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I was quite honestly looking forward to a bit of a rest, but then realised I had to start recruiting the staff after the back of it. So it was one of those bits where you look back and you think, from where we were, like we talked about earlier, where we were only in the early parts of the summer to where we got to by the end of it, it's quite a monumental sort of project to have got off and going. And yeah, very, very proud of that. The people that were in the sort of staff and helped that programme last year. Again, people that had done bits and pieces with the Surrey Stars or even Surrey Women's Cricket. It was a great opportunity for them to sort of touch base with this programme and give it that little boost at the start. And yeah, results weren't what we wanted, but yeah, I think more than anything, we just got the team up and running. Yeah, but part of that is not just a 1 year competition. It's not just a 1 year thing. This it's gonna hopefully go forwards and be a prestigious and very prominent part of women's cricket for a long time to come.
Yeah, you mentioned recruiting there, so I think the big one, obviously, is your head coach, Johan Myberg, who I've commentated on. I've commentated with, actually. Lovely man, terrific player, but a great guy to get. Again, sort of same question as I asked you for Tash, really. Why go after Johan Myberg?
Well, it's turned out to be great for us, I think, and Tash would I'm sure agree. Probably has to agree, doesn't she? But
definitely
agree. He's got the terrific balance of clearly someone who's played an awful lot of cricket, knows the game inside out, and he also has this huge amount of care. And I think within the women's cricket environment, I think that there is a need to understand, like, just there is a different way sometimes to communicate, and he has allowed that to happen. He's allowed the players to really help drive the programme as well. He's got that great understanding of where he's trying to take a player, but equally almost letting the player take themselves there, and that's a really, really valuable and quite powerful skill to have. He's had to significantly up his game on Zoom and spreadsheets with the amount of scheduling issues that we've had with COVID. If he does listen back to this, he knows he's still got a little bit way to go.
Yeah.
But it's been wonderful to get to know him, and that's been a challenge for us as a staff group collectively as well. We've now done 5 months months, and yet since Christmas we've barely been in the same room together. Now we're getting outside, we can actually gel a little bit more, and that's been a nice part of the last few weeks. But Mibes has come in and done a terrific job, and I'm sure Tash will probably endorse that as well from a player's perspective.
Yeah, and obviously as captain as well, you sort of that captain-coach relationship is absolutely crucial, isn't it, for a team? So how are you and Mr. Myberg sort of getting that relationship going?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's sort of, obviously when I found out that he was becoming head coach, I kind of knew what a great player he was, and I was really excited to work with him. And then I think sort of one of the first things that he said to me is that he wants to build those relationships, so obviously from a coach captain point of view, and definitely had a lot of phone calls with him, and it's just been great working with him. And I think something that sort of shows that he really cares about this team, and I feel like we both do. When I went to New Zealand, he was always checking in how I was getting on, and he's great. He's definitely very competitive, and we both want to take this team, obviously along with Bedders and the whole squad, far, and we want to do well. But also I think with him, he sort of knows it's a sort of a long-term process as well. But yeah, he's just absolutely brilliant. I have nothing but good things to say about him.
One of the downsides to COVID was we didn't get as many of Mibes' games days. He loves a board game. He loves bringing some random stuff to play into training, which has been great. And those little quirks that he's brought.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So it's not just about cricket. And
loves golf.
Yeah, he is a massive golf fan.
Right.
So he had a little indoor tennis, an indoor pitch and putt, and goodness knows what else. And then COVID got in the way of that, and we had to put all that in the cupboard and keep washing our hands. So.
Any particular board game, Cluedo or something along that, Monopoly? Is it?
Linky was the board game, and
it's a bit intellectual for me, that one.
Coppet as well. We had
me and Bedders had a very good game of Coppet. We were there for about 3 hours.
Well, the other thing, and hopefully this won't happen, but obviously that's quite handy if it rains, because you've got something to do in the rain. So yeah, great to see him with you guys, and also you mentioned professional there, sort of physio, strength and conditioning. You've done some recruitment, haven't you, over the winter? Yeah,
we have. We've got Sergeant Show's come in as full-time physio, and Guy Pitchers, who's our strength and conditioning coach, who's almost full-time within his role, and they've brought wonders to the programme. Again, two highly professional people, know exactly what they're doing. But again, first sort of major recruitment sort of stage I've gone through, when you're putting people into these full-time roles and trying to create a team, and something that by luck or design is that we've got a group that really complements each other. They all do share this sort of care and attention, and they want the best for every player. And I think that's becoming really, really valuable as we talk and work as a group now of staff. We've got Tom Lister, who looks after our academy, and Letty Hadley, who has the hardest job of all, which is team operations and trying to make sure that we're organising stuff in the right time and dealing with players and helping them answer questions mostly around schedules and where they're going to be next week. So they've come together. They're all very good in their roles, and that all adds, I think, to the environment that we've got at the moment. It's exciting.
Yeah, it is. And Tash, give us an idea of sort of how much training you've done so far, because you've got a game. Hang on, what day are we today? Well, it's Sunday, isn't it? You playing Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday we are, yeah.
Sunday against the England Women's Academy. But just give us an idea of sort of, obviously you've been playing for Kent and Surrey have been playing, but from a Surrey Stars point of view, training-wise, getting with Mr. Myberg, getting out there, getting training, just give us an idea of what you've been up to.
From my point of view, obviously being in an England programme before, I wouldn't say it's too much different, to be honest. The pros are in sort of 4 times a week, getting everything that they need, and then I think our sort of super strength, obviously I don't know really about other regions, but I think where we have been so good this winter is our wider squad players have been coming in about 2 or 3 times a week, some even 4 times a week, like the pros. So I think that's going to really benefit us as a whole squad. I think that's where Mibes and Bedders, and I was really keen to sort of make sure that we are a full squad, even though there's 5 full-time players. So I think that's going to really benefit us in the summer, that our wider squad have been having pretty much full professional training all winter.
I was just going to touch on that. It has been an interesting winter, from how they've had to train. Obviously, Tash went off to New Zealand and missed a couple of, maybe it was 2 months, wasn't it, that you missed? And we've obviously trained at Beckenham, a great facility down there. We've trained here at the Oval. We've used Trinity School. We've used George Abbott, the indoor school down in Guildford. And we've had the sort of threats of a vaccination centre being sort of taking Beckenham away from our programme and not really knowing quite where we were going to be even 2 weeks in advance. So it's been a very interesting winter for the staff to have sort of got to this point now, having gone through that, and with the collective element of the stuff only starting in November. Again, it's one of those things where you keep reflecting back. You forget time so quickly, don't you? But you reflect back and go, blimey, it's been a great effort from everybody, and it is allowed a significant amount of training to take place. We'll see whether that's had any benefits.
Well, that's the thing. Proof will be in the pudding, everybody. Proof will be in the pudding. But Tash mentioned it there, for the whole squad as well. You know, you got your 5 full-time pros, but for the whole squad to be involved and coming in 2 or 3 days a week, how important was that to sort of keep that cohesion together, really? Yeah,
it has been an opportunity that COVID's presented to see more players come in more often. And that's been reciprocated by the staff putting in some decent shifts of time. It does make a difference. It clearly does. When you can have a player that might previously, I think back here, obviously the Surrey women's programme that I ran, we still only did 2 sessions a week, and that was sort of in the evenings, and this has now allowed players to come in when they can, and certain players have come in during the daytime. Yes, certain players have only been able to come in the evening because they are still in employment, and there is still a difference within the group of many different people in different stages of life. It's been a big step on, it does make you think, how will next winter look? And you're already starting to think, how might the schedule look to allow that to either happen again or to work in the best way it can. I suppose one thing to mention, we've worked as a wider squad through most of the winter. We are now on the cusp of going into a slightly more streamlined competition squad. So that does obviously present the sad bit where a couple of players won't make that competition squad at this moment in time. And then it gives, I think, probably us as a collective, that suddenly realisation of, we are moving into something here now, and yes, look, players have put in huge amount of time and commitment to this, and unfortunately aren't going to be here at the start of the season's journey, but they've certainly impacted each of those players that won't be in at the moment. They certainly have impacted the environment through the winter, and there's some lucky players will obviously get the nod soon.
Absolutely. And Tash, how much are you looking forward to sort of this summer? And give us an idea, because it's action-packed, isn't it? We said it, there's an awful lot of cricket coming up, isn't there? Yeah,
and I think that's kind of why we wanted to give as much training as possible, because you know, we obviously have the county, and then we have the Rachel Hayhoe Flint 50 over stuff, then we've got the T20, then a lot of our girls are going to be involved in the 100. Absolutely. So we've got that break there, and then back to the T20s and the 50 overs. So it is jam-packed, but that's what everyone wants. Everyone wants to be playing more cricket. So yeah, it's all go. I'm really excited. I think the way that the scheduling's done, having the T20 either side of the 100 is really nice as well, to sort of hone in on your skills there. But yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of cricket, but that is what everyone's been calling for quite a long time. Yeah, Mr. Bedbrook, it's what everyone's been calling for a long time, but there is a huge, men and women's cricket. This is a summer like no other, isn't it?
It is. I'm starting to keep reminding ourselves that we've got half the season from the back end of August. Yeah. So the sort of nice, maybe easy entrance to the summer at the end of May and through June is going to feel a bit different, I think, come the back end of the 100 and into the latter part. But it is when you can actually now move away from what county cricket was done by mid-June
Yeah, but
in some
that
cases.
was the point, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You were done and dusted by mid-June.
Yeah.
Now we're looking sort of end of September time, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And like the 100, I know, has got its critics in various corners. From the women's game, it does add significantly from both the visibility aspect and getting that out to the masses and obviously onto TV, and with obviously BBC TV, that is a big step. But I think, just as Tash has said a few times, it suddenly gives you a full year to then also realise you have to train professionally for that. You can't just breeze through that. You can't just expect to do nothing and be at the start of that 100 competition. You've got to put in some serious amount of effort to physically be able to cope with that. So that's another big step for more players outside of, obviously Tash has experienced that before, but more players outside those full-time players now. Actually, I want to be part of that.
Yep.
I'm going to put in what I can.
Tash, I'm looking forward to the 100. I can't wait. I'm excited to see what it's gonna be like. What are you thinking? Looking forward to it?
Yeah, I'm so excited. Obviously, being at the Oval Invincibles and now playing every game at the Oval.
Yeah. Well, you're going to be the first ever game of 100 televised.
I know. I kind of hope I get to bowl the first over.
Well,
just hope I don't bowl a wide first ball.
But actually, that is huge.
Yeah.
That is the first ever game of this competition. Women's cricket, terrestrial TV. You'll be playing in it. That is massive, isn't it, for the women's game?
Yeah, it's huge. I don't think it's really processed in my mind, to be honest.
You've got a while, so don't worry about it today.
Don't
worry about it today.
Yeah, bowling at Lizelle Lee first ball. Not sure how I feel about it.
Don't worry about it at the moment.
Yeah, it's going to be massive. Obviously, there's 2 more teams than there was in the Kia Super League, so there's going to be more players on show. Obviously, we're going to have the best internationals around the world, and yeah, I'm really sort of excited. Obviously, playing for the South East Stars and the Oval Invincibles, I feel like I've got that continuity, but also some fresh faces as well, which sometimes is really nice. And sort of, I'm really excited to play with the internationals that we have. Yeah, so the 100 is going to be absolutely massive. But for me at the moment, it's just focusing on that first part of the season, for the regional stuff, and yeah, going from there.
So you've got a game this Sunday against the England Women's Academy. Looking forward to getting out there with the South East Stars and sort of getting started.
Definitely. I'm a bit bored of bowling at Bryony Smith and Alice Capsey, to be honest, in the county stuff. So yeah, it'll be nice to actually play on the same side as all the Stars girls. It'll be a really good challenge for us playing against the academy. I know that they've got some, I think some England girls playing as well. So, and that's what we want. We want some tough games to really see where we're at. And then we've got another warm-up game against the Southern Vipers before the competition starts. So, yeah, I think everyone's just looking forward to not bowling and batting against each other and actually being on the same team. So, yeah, we'll obviously have a look at a few players, but yeah, we're just really excited to sort of, get that competition squad and really honing in on that first game of the season.
Mr. Bedbrook, with the amount of cricket that's coming up, how important is your job to sort of manage that as well? Because there is an awful lot coming up, and you've got to sort of plan ahead. I think that's what I'm saying. It's that planning ahead, isn't it? Yeah,
and this competition squad has taken a fair bit of discussion to work out where do we start. What is the right number of players to have at the start? How many more players are we likely to have to add? Is there any point waiting to add players? So that's taken a lot of discussion, and also you're trying to work out what skill set depth you've got as well, and that's something that Mibes has sort of taken on and led on. And once again, just the fact that Sarge has come in as a full-time physio, and Guy with his role in S&C, you can actually talk as a group and hopefully make better decisions for players. You can make them realise where they are at and what sort of amount of workload they need to be going through. It's all so monitored at the moment. We sort of give every bowler their weekly bowling amounts, and I think you do start to see the sides of the professional element of having full-time staff making better decisions for players. So.
Absolutely. I've so enjoyed this, and it's so lovely to see you both. I've just seen the time, actually. Tash, I can't let you go without asking about England and getting back in against New Zealand. Congratulations, well done. how good was it to be back in the England team?
Yeah, it was great. It was definitely unexpected, to be honest. We hadn't really planned for me being picked for England in the winter, but yeah, it's obviously where I want to be. And I think the most sort of pleasing thing for me is I was able to actually wangle my way into the ODI team, and then play one T20, whereas before I might have been seen as more of a T20 player. So for me, I think that was a really sort of big step. But yeah, as I said, I'm really enjoying it with the Stars. I just want to keep putting in performances, and if I keep putting in performances, then hopefully England will come around again. But for me, the focus is getting out there with the Stars and keep leading from the front and putting in some good performances.
Yeah, Farrant, quickly, how proud were you to see Tash out there again with England?
Significantly. One of the pleasing aspects was what Tash mentioned earlier about the fact that her performances last year do matter, and I think that's given everybody around all the country a realisation of, if I perform in this level, I've got a chance here. Hugely proud to see that sort of from initial chats of when you're going on the trip, okay, what the expectations, how might it go, and then in the first game. Brilliant to see, and little things that we did and worked on before Christmas, wasn't it? In the bowling side, you're sitting there at home at 2 a.m. and you see those things being developed out there. Again, just big amount of kudos to Tash for going out there and continuing her journey as a bowler, not just playing safe, but being brave to try a few things, and it won't be the end. That's just the start. So I'm fully expecting to get some calls from England, certainly through this summer or next winter. So
tremendous. Well, look, thank you both for coming up and joining us. Tash, chuffed to bits for you, but as you said, now it's South East Stars. But no, lovely to see you both. We'll be covering quite a few of your games actually on the live stream.
I think we got a mixture of sort of live stream through Stars channel or through Surrey's channel.
So, and I think unfortunately you'll have me babbling away on it as well.
We'll try and get you a couple more guests.
I apologise in advance to everybody. Send everybody to sleep. But no, lovely to see you both. Thank you for coming up, Tash. Great to see you. Good luck this weekend, Mr. Bedbrook. An absolute joy as always. So thank you to Tash Farrant. Thank you to Richard Bedbrook.